possible to be poor and rich at the same time? I asked this simple question, but in all honesty, I believe it is possible. If I could lean into this virtual screen and see the faces of you all who are listening to me right now, I can almost hear you asking, how is this possible, Marie? Well, I'll tell you how it's possible. For those of you who heard my last podcast, you heard me speak about how although I had both parents in the home and both parents worked full-time jobs, we were still what you would consider poor. Something I promised myself I would never be, ever. It took me many years to realize that we were poor too. Now, I bet that leads to another possible question you may be asking yourself. How can this woman say that she grew up poor, then say that it took her many years to realize this? Am I right? Well, in case you don't realize this, there are many levels of being poor. If I can paint the picture of how this might look to the human eye, I'll give you just 4 examples of the varying levels of poor. Picture the first level being the starving children we see on our television screens with the countless requests for donations to help feed them. Well, we can also say that level 1 is also in the U.S., where we see our homeless who would sleep on the street. Level 2 would look something like a person working a full-time job, but not able to secure housing. So they look for a shelter to keep them off the street. And level 3 would be not only do they have a full-time job, but now they have a job and a secured motel room of some kind. They could also be living with their parent. Now, level 4, this is what I consider how I grew up. Parents working full-time and now have a stable home. This could be an apartment or a house. You're able to have a roof over your head, clothes on your back. Sometimes, like for me, they came from the thrift store, or they were hand-me-downs or hand-me-downs from the girl in Philly. And you have food to eat. Well, most of the time we had food to eat. There were times where we didn't have food and we had to go to our babysitter's house for dinner. Now, at that time when it was going on, I had no idea we were there for dinner because we didn't have food. But my mother explained this to me when I was older. It's easy at times to live carefree as a child when you are oblivious to things going on around you. So we were level 4 poor, but, and this is a big but, no pun intended, we were rich. My mother, despite the obstacles she faced, she never allowed herself to display any of that to me or to us. I'm pretty sure there were many nights she worried, many nights of depression, and many nights of feeling defeated. I can see that now as an adult and as a mother. As bleak as that may sound to some, my mother showed me what strength and courage looked like. My mother, born Louise, named herself Betty after moving from Florida to Philadelphia. She moved from Florida in the late 40s, early 50s. The exact year, I'm not sure, but she told me it was sometime after she graduated high school. She would go on to tell me she chose to move to Philadelphia simply because the way it sounded. She liked the sound of the word Philadelphia. Reminds me of Coming to America and the Prince Hakeem, played by Eddie Murphy, who chose to move to Queens, New York, because he was in search of his queen. My mother was no nonsense and full of love at the same time. She was the kind of mother that whooped your butt when you got out of line and let you know she was doing it because she loved you. She actually told me that one time while whooping my butt. I'm only doing this because I love you. I thought, like, how cruel that was. You're beating my butt and telling me you're doing it because you love me? I would have just taken those words. Thank you very much, Mommy. I don't need you to beat me to show me how much you love me. I'll just take your word for it. Not only did my mother keep her children in check, she also maintained a clean house. She recruited me and my siblings to assist, of course, especially on Saturday mornings. So now you guys know where I got it from. The radio would be blasting, or she would have the record player on from the stereo system. And if you needed to know how we worked on Saturdays, hard. We were given buckets of soapy water and Pine Sol with a big yellow sponge. I had not only had to scrub the woodworks, I also had to do the walls, the floors, dust, clean the windows and the mirrors, and sometimes the chandeliers. And did I mention the dishes? To this day, those are the worst, which is why I recruited a house cleaner. Not only was our home clean, but we were too. Our hair was kept up, whether braided, relaxed, or a jerry curl. Yes, I wore a jerry curl. My mom kept it up. I don't ever recall my brother actually going to the barbershop, but I do remember that his hair was always cut neat as well. My clothes were mostly thrifted, as I stated prior, but I received many compliments. I loathed the thrift stores, despite the compliments. I love them now, though. My mother raised us in the church, and even after this, she still worked overnight at the nursing home across town. She changed her working hours, I believe, because those early mornings of getting us up and dressed and fed and then traveling across town had to have been exhausting and also expensive. By this time, I have learned strength, cleanliness, and hard work from a mother who always kept her head held high, even with her red lipstick on. That's an inside joke for those who know me well. Yeah, my mother loved red lipstick. My mother also taught me, which is what I believe is my most valuable asset that I have, and that is the gift of storytelling. My mother spent hours upon hours of detailing her childhood, her schooling, her friends, family, anything she could think of. It was as if we were watching a movie as she spoke. I stayed imagining every face and place as she described them. Even my friends were blessed to hear her stories. From a small girl, I have had, as far back as I can remember, have been able to tell a story in so much detail that I have been told throughout my life, no lie, that I should be a writer, a journalist, and so on. And at 56 years old, I am finally telling my story, one truth at a time. Thank you, Mommy, for always allowing me to witness such grace and strength. Thank you for believing in me and being my first teacher. Although you were looking for a gambling partner after I graduated high school, inside joke, what you received was a grandson and a very responsible woman, outside of teenage pregnancy, that is, despite anything that may have come my way. I kept my head held high. I worked hard and still do. And I am someone who always tried as much as possible to give back to you, to thank you for everything you have done for me. I love you, Mommy, and I know I will see you again someday. Be blessed all. And I will leave you with this. You don't know what your parents have to go through. You only know what you see and what you think you know. So as it says in the Bible, children, obey your parents. And I will add this, obey your parents, and if you can bless them financially, emotionally, or spiritually, just bless them. Peace.